take the clay, take our ball of clay, and we're going to moisten this bat up a little bit. Now what I like to do is dry this bat with my rackets over here. Okay, I like to dry this bat. We can't have any water here. It just has to be moist. And then we take the clay and kind of throw it down, tap it a little bit, not too much. We don't want to flatten it out like a pancake. We just kind of want it sitting here. If we turn the wheel by hand, we can see that it's relatively in a center spot. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my hands at 7 o'clock and 2 o'clock, and I'm going to be pressing in like this. Now this part of my hand right here, you can see this meat of my hand is what's going to come over the top of that clay. As I press it, the clay is going to want to come up, and I'm going to want it to rise up, but I'm going to be using this when I go back down, using this thumb and this piece of my palm to go down. So I'm going to turn the wheel on. I'm going to add a little bit of water. The whole point here is it has to be slippery. Water is your friend here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come in at 7 o'clock and at 2 o'clock, hold my thumb down and press together. Now I guess what we'll talk about is the wheel right now. How fast is the wheel going? If you see this little mark, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, about 1 every 60 revolutions per minute. So I'm going to count 60 seconds. Every time I see that wheel spin, that's about the speed that you want to center at. We can turn this wheel up to super fast. You can see it starts throwing the clay outside here on the clay catcher, but this can get thrown off very easily. So we want the wheel to be about 60 RPM, something in that range. I'm sorry we don't have a scale for you, but you'll get used to it. So I'm going to go down, press down, let up, get some water. It always has to be slippery. The minute you feel it grabbing, that means you need to add water. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull it together, and I'm going to force it to come up into a cone shape. Okay? You can see it's coming up into that cone shape, and I want to make sure that my top comes up. I don't want to have a hole in the bottom. I don't want this to cave in. This has to always go to the top. As soon as it drags a little bit, we're going to get that going in here.
Looks like you're playing.
Once we have the volcano type shape, this is where we take the thumb and take it back down. See how I'm using my right thumb to press on my left thumb. Notice my hands are not moving from side to side. My hands are straight. That's centered clay. If the clay is off-centered, my hands are going to be moving with that. Only way that I can get that off-centered out is to bring it back up to a volcano again, and then come back down and get it centered. What I like to do is clean up this clay as I go along so I know where the edge of my clay is sitting on the bat. So now what we're going to do is open the clay up. The way we open the clay up is we rest our thumb on the center of the clay and just make a slight indentation. That gives us the area in which we're going to press down. Gives us the center point of the clay. So what I'm going to do, there's many techniques in doing this. A lot of times I use one finger, but I think that for right now, see if this feels comfortable. Having your pinkies on the clay to keep your hands from moving left to right, you're going to just start pressing down. The minute you feel a drag, the clay doesn't have that water in there, you've got to stop, release very slowly, come up, get some more water, put some water in there, and go back down. And keep going down until you feel that you're down far enough. Now this is something that takes a little while and a little practice to know exactly how far down you should go. The way that we can test it is we can stop the wheel. What I'm going to do is clean this up. I like to keep this wheel clean so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to stop the wheel and I'm going to use the pointer tool. I'm going to hit the bottom of the bat. I'm going to put my finger down until it touches the clay at the bottom, and then it's going to give me how thick that bottom is. And that bottom is probably a ½ inch. And that's all I really need right now. I don't want to go any lower than that, and it has to be around a ½ inch. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger down here and I'm going to pull it back towards me, and that will open this hole up more evenly. And the way I do that, notice that first my elbows are on my knees. That's what's giving my hand a lot of power. If I lift up my hands, the clay is going to move my arms around. But if I lock them in place on my legs here, whatever's comfortable to lock your elbows in place, that will give you the leverage that you need to do all the pulling. Right now we're going to open this up. I'm holding this. I'm not pressing here at all. I'm just using it as a guide. And I'm going to start coming back to me, trying not to go down and not to go up. So what I'll do, if you can see in there, and I think you can, that we kind of have a raised area here and a lower area there. And we want to come as straight as possible. Once I have the clay open, and this is good enough for me to get my hand in, this is about maybe 3 inches. You can open it a little bit more if you want. The next step is to compress this bottom. And the way you compress the bottom is just to press down slowly and go towards the center. Trying not to let the clay come up, and then go back out towards the wall and back in towards the center. And you're just pushing down on that clay and trying not to let that clay get out of hand. We are in Yuma, Arizona with the jets going by. But so we want to compress that bottom, and this is probably one of the most important things in pottery right here. Without this, you're going to have S-cracks. If you get S-cracks, this is what happens. You did not compress this clay down to that point. Okay. Now, to be a good teacher, we're going to do the things that nobody likes to do. And that is, at this point, we're going to take this and we're going to cut it out, so that you can see from the inside what we have. I came up off of it with the I want you to be able to see the contour of everything, so I got to take this clay out of the bottom. There we go. And you're not going to see it till I turn it around. So we have about a ½ inch down here, and we have around the same thickness of each wall that we would, when we continue, we're going to be pulling up on this wall. But this is to show you when I'm compressing, I'm compressing into the middle and back, into the middle and back. I'm not letting my finger go down into the clay and form a ridge. I'm just keeping that clay from popping up. It's going to want to pop up as I go, and what I'll do